welcome everyone. This is the third installment, as she said, of our brown bag series. And today we're going to do a deep dive into social media. But before we do that, we just wanted to say congratulations. We already have winners. We have 5 prizes for the first 5 people that were waiting in the waiting room. So these 5 people are going to get a school readiness gift pack from Kaplan. So congratulations to Yolanda Loper, Shavera Dove, Maribel Vieira, Christina Bustamante, and Brenda Wells. So yay, everyone. You'll be getting those prizes very soon. And I know we only have... Okay. You're very welcome. And I know we only have a short time together, so let's jump in right away. I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll talk a little bit about your thoughts on social media and some tips for you. All right. Here we go. Just want to make sure I can see the chat as well. All right. So social media today, we can talk a little bit about that. To begin, here's some of the biggest platforms that you're probably quite familiar with. Facebook, of course, on the left, that's like the mothership, I like to call it. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. On the bottom row, we have Snapchat, Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn. These are some of the big daddies, the ones that a lot of people are using right now. But just to get started, I thought it would be kind of cool to see how you use social media in your own life. And so for that, we're going to do a quick poll. And actually, Alejandro, would you mind launching it? I don't think I can see it from here.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. 3 quick questions. So if you want to take a few moments, please do so. All right, I see some answers coming in. We'll give everyone maybe 1 more minute and then we can share and chat. All right, maybe 10 more seconds and then I'll end the poll. A few more people. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to share the results here. If you can see on your screen, we do have 94% of people have used Facebook. Instagram is number 2, and you can see where we go from there. We have one person on Clubhouse, the cool new one, one person on Reddit. Then how often do you use social media? Multiple times a day. Thank you for your honesty. Not everyone's honest about that. Then weekly, then a few times a week, and then one person does not use social at all. And 76% of you are using it to promote your program. That's fantastic. And that's why we want to talk about it today. It is a great way to market. It's free primarily, or very low cost if you do boosting. So we just feel like it's a great way to get the word out about your program. We'll go through a couple little stats. Next, we have what's happening right now in the space. So this is data just from a few months ago. As you can see, Facebook is still number 1. So there is currently 2.7 billion users each month, and that's a global statistic. So Facebook is still there. Even if people say they're not using it, they're still kind of looking at it. So it's important to be there, I think. Depending upon the makeup of your program, and I would love to hear from all of you in a couple slides later, who you're marketing to or who your families are, Instagram has really grown a lot, and especially with women 18 to 24. So if that happens to be your target audience for your program, you might want to explore Instagram if you haven't already. I also just wanted to share that Pew Research does a lot of work in this area, and they say that 91% of your followers will actually visit your website. And in the world of marketing, 91% conversion is incredible. So anytime you can post, it does bring traffic back to your website, which is a huge goal. And then the current stat around the world is that people spend 2 hours and 25 minutes a day on social media. Now, my nieces and nephews who use TikTok, it's more like 7 hours, but this is an average around the world, and it is self-reported. So I have a feeling it might be a little higher than that. But that's just some information to know how big it is and that it's really not going away. Talk a little bit about an effective post before we talk about content. So I don't know how much you all have experimented with the different platforms, but here's an example of a target post on Facebook. So this is just a great guide to kind of follow. You have a headline, attention getting, perhaps it's a stat or maybe identifying a problem and how you have a solution. You tell the story. It's nice to put a line break between paragraphs. People will read more if there's some white space. Include a call to action if you want people to go someplace, mainly to your website or to another resource. And emojis, as silly as it sounds, we found that with both email marketing and social media marketing, using emojis, it's the way that people communicate now, in text, in other forms of communication. So we found it to be very effective, that people will become more engaged and they feel more friendly and warm, and you can often demonstrate a lot with an icon that you can't verbally. And then, of course, the most important thing is to have a very attractive visual that tells a story. Sometimes people don't like to read, so they're just scrolling, and you really want that picture to capture them and reel them in. So now, next slide, if you have your cell phone ready, grab it. We're going to do a quick activity to determine what type of content you have experimented with within your own Marketing Your Head Start program. So you can either take a quick snap of that QR code, or you can go to menti.com and type in the code 92553128. So I'll give everyone a moment to get there. And I see something in the chat. Oh, thank you, Alejandra. She's also putting it in the chat for everyone. And then I'm going to stop sharing and switch over to the activity so everyone can see it. All right, and I see some entries are already coming in. So go ahead and type in things that you can, different types of content you can post to promote your program. And I'm hoping everyone can see the words popping up. Can I get a thumbs up? Everyone can see okay? Awesome.
Kristen, will you share what the code was again?
Yes, it's right at the top of the screen. It's 92553128.
Thank you.
I can put it in the chat. I see that. I know everyone's on different devices, and sometimes it's easier to look in the chat. There you go. So we're seeing recruitment is pretty popular. That's a big one. Video, nice. I like to see that. Enrollment, pictures, tips, stats on how the program can help. Love that. Lots of pictures is getting a lot. Okay, it's becoming up bigger. That's awesome. Give everyone a few more minutes, a few more seconds rather. Enrollment open slots, children, statistics, Head Start, summer calendar.
What's that?
Love it. As these are rolling in, I just wanted to open up the floor. I know it's there's not too many of us, so I think we can actually just share. Maybe if anyone wants to unmute and share a success story of some type of content that you posted that got either a lot of engagement or a lot of shares or comments or likes. If anyone has an example, we would love to hear it if you want to share.
I would like to share.
Okay, thank you. This is Laura Diaz.
Right.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. So we have had some clients for many, many years from infancy, and the same child is now in 5th grade. And She made a lot of, she beaded a lot of small bracelets, and she put bracelets on both her hands that she made herself. And I
Aw.
posted them, and all the parents, current and past, shared how much they loved it and how much they miss our daycare and how much they miss all our activities, and how they wish they could still be with us.
That's beautiful. It's something very visual and personal, and it brought people together. That's so cool. And Laura, since you were our first volunteer to share out, you're the winner of a $100 discount school supply gift card. So
Yay, thank you.
you're very welcome.
I also want to share if I can.
Yes, please, please. And who's speaking?
This is Maribel with Chicanos por la Casa.
Hello, hello. Go for it.
We have been using Facebook to promote our flyers just for additional recruitment. And in one of the many groups that there is, there was a family, a new mom asking for Head Start services. And we did had a lot of positive feedback from a lot of families whom had received services with our program previously, former parents and parents that are currently enrolled that promoted our program there. A lot of them took snapshots of our flyer and added it to her comment. So I think it was, to me, it was very rewarding seeing all the positive comments that we got from other parents as far as the services, that we were not only a daycare, that we are a complete program, and that we provide both nutritious meals, education, and that we don't only work with the child, but the entire family.
I
So
love
think
that.
Media does help a lot.
Yeah, and you were able to elevate that this isn't daycare. Like those wraparound services, the nutrition and family engagement, all of those things are so vital to families. And a lot of families don't know that that's what Head Start offers. So
I think that was the most rewarding portion to me when I read all the comments, the fact that they were like, it's not a daycare program, it's a school.
good.
So I was like, I think that was like successful part for us.
I love that. Thank you, Maribel, for sharing. I also want to share from the chat, and I'm not sure, is it Shaveda or Shavada, but I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She lost her voice because she's a Dodger fan, but she did say that she commented on a social media post for the city and got a lot of feedback from people. So that's also cool to kind of tag along onto other accounts where you're going to get some exposure. I'm also in the, oh, go ahead, Joseph. You want to chat?
Yeah, we had done a video for our home-based program, and the local newspaper saw it and invited us onto their podcast. Myself and the HR person that does our PR. So we didn't expect that. So we got kind of an additional advertisement for our programs.
That's tremendous. And I think, you know, especially media and reporters, they want to see human interest stories, right? So they want to see what people are doing in the community and how you're impacting people. And all of you, that's what you do on a basis. So it's a good reminder that that is a story. That's a news story. And that's, people want to hear more about that. Awesome. Well, because of the interest of time, we have a couple guest speakers. I'm going to keep it pushing. But as you can see from the word cloud, resources also popped up, events. And I would also, I don't see anyone here mentioning this, but anything that relates to your brand that might be feel good and not necessarily promoting your program. Let's say it's some of those viral videos you've seen where the little girl's trying to shoot the basketball and her toddler friend helps her, or the little girl whose brothers get off the bus and hug her. You know, sometimes feel good videos and photos I found to become very effective, that people like it and engage with it. And it is a representation of your program, because what you're doing is helping to create happy, healthy children. So I encourage you to also experiment with reusing other people's content, and of course giving them the credit, and sometimes that helps with a little bit of cross promotion as well. And I'm going to stop share and switch back to the PowerPoint. And if there are any questions, please just, you know, drop them in the chat. But I thought we could just
couple of practices for people who use social media consistently. Some of them, can someone signal if you can all still hear me? I'm seeing the internet is unstable. I want to make sure that I'm coming through. Maybe just a thumbs up.
You sound a little quiet, Brian.
A little quiet?
Yeah, just a little too quiet.
Okay, I'll raise my voice. So one of the things I can promise you is if you follow these tips for social media, you will achieve your objectives on the platform. So these are 7 things that I'd recommend that you do. The first is identifying your area of expertise, what people call their lane, right? So for instance, I only post on social media when I want to talk about social media, because that's what I do for a living. People in the educational space would want to talk about educational news. People in politics want to talk about political news. So you want to find out what you can add. What is your brand? What is your lane? So that you can keep consistent with it. That's one. Number 2 is you also want to identify what goals you have for your social accounts. Just as a copier machine in an office is judged on its effectiveness by how many copies it can produce, you're going to want to attach metrics and performance indicators for your social media so it can, help you determine if you're being successful or not. Here are some that you could use. You could say, I want to build new followers. I want to increase visits to my website. I want to establish myself as a thought leader so I get invited to more conferences to speak and people seek me out for press commentary. Or I want people to like, comment, to engage. Social media, when done right, I always compare it to, when my son will contact me and ask me for money, he'll have a lot better chance of getting $5 extra if he had asked how my day went earlier that week, right? So you don't want to go to people when you need help. You want to consistently engage with them. So don't just ask people to sign up for your program or to donate to your program. You want to give them content that establishes you as a trusted source of information that they find interesting. Number 3 is study influencers in your space. So if you are in education, what other accounts are talking about education? Can you take content that's inspired by those accounts? What are they doing that's successful? What are they doing that you don't like? You want to get a list of people that you check in with on a weekly basis to see what's trending in your space. It's really important. Number 4 is study relevant conversation spaces and hashtags. And this is one tip I can give you that I will guarantee will lead to new followers, especially on Instagram. So if I'm going to be doing a post later in the week on, let's say, Mr. Rogers on Wednesday, on Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to search people on the social platforms who are talking about Mr. Rogers. I'm going to like their posts, which alerts them that I exist and I'm interested in what they're talking about. So by the time I get to post my Mr. Rogers post, I've engaged in a community of people that are interested in what I'm interested in. So it's just planning your social media out in advance so that if you know you're going to do a post on a given topic, that you know where people are talking about that topic and you can seek them out. Keep your voice and visuals consistent. And I think Kristen was going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to amplify what she probably would have told you, and I see that she's back. What you want to do is establish a brand voice and a consistent visual voice so that your social media doesn't come off chaotic. If you're posting on behalf of an organization, you always want to have more of a formal voice that your organization will stand behind. And you want to keep your color scheme and your branding palette consistent. This lets people know that you're professional, that you are intentional about what you post, and it establishes a degree of trust because they know that you're putting thought into the content that you're putting out. And the last one, and this is, is another way to get really good engagement, is filter trending news through your voice. So what do I mean by that? What you want to do is you want to survey what's happening in the news landscape. And if there's a way for you to comment on what's trending that speaks to your topic area, your lane. So for instance, there is a politician that whenever is asked about any given problem will always come back to homelessness because that's his brand. So if you say, what do you think about the educational system in California right now? He'll say, you know, it's failing the homeless population the following ways, because that's his brand and that's how he wants to attach his lane to the trendy news cycle. Now you can go from something that's sort of, you know, very obvious, which is asking a question and putting your spin on it. Or we did this for Child 360 a long time ago, where Glenn Fry, who was with the Eagles, if you all know that band, passed away. And we wanted to, you know, use this opportunity to talk about arts education in preschool, because he was a big proponent of that type of activity and how music can enhance mathematical skills down the road. So we used something that was happening in present day to talk about stuff that concerns our industry. And I think as you go through it, at first it's difficult, but you'll always find a way to put your spin or your perspective on news. So today it's raining outside. How could an educational institution make a post that deals with rain in Southern California? I don't know what that is yet. Maybe there's a book about rain. That's a famous children's book. Maybe you can do a video of a kid splashing in puddles, but you want to make something topical, but also not outside of your lane. Those are, you know, 6 fairly specific tips that I went through very quickly. I'm happy to answer questions if I can stop sharing my screen and looking at the chat, but I also noticed that Kristen's back and she can start her presentation again.
I have a question.
Go for it.
How do we link Facebook with Instagram and other popular social medias?
It's a great question. So the way you link it is through your Facebook page. So if your organization has a Facebook page, you go to settings, and if you're the page admin, you'll see there's a tab that says Instagram, and you can link it that way. You just need to make sure you have your new username and password. You can also link it from Instagram to Facebook if you go into the settings as well. Is that what you're asking, how you can link the pages together so when one posts, the other posts as well?
Yes, exactly.
Great. And I know that Kristen has a lot of success using Hootsuite, where she has LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram all able to post at the same time, which saves on a lot of work.
Yep, I was just going to say that there are other platforms too, and we'll share the resources in the chat where you can combine all of your networks together. I think Sprout Social might do it. I know HubSpot does it. It's a little bit more advanced, but I think sometimes it's easier if there's a post that applies to all platforms, but you do want to consider what audience is on each of those platforms. And I'm sorry, the rain, I think, is to blame for my internet outage. I'm sorry, you guys. I do have a few slides I'll go through, and then we can turn it back over to you, Alejandra, to introduce our next presenter. Let me just go back a little bit out of order, and thank you guys for your patience so much. The tips I wanted to go through really quickly, Brian expanded upon the last one, but the first one, as he mentioned, is to consider your audience. So here, you're all very empathetic people. That's why you take care of children and their families. So I think we can apply that to social as well, and think about the person that's going to be seeing that. They're going to think, well, what's in it for me? Why do I care? What's important to me? So I think it's really important to consider them and how they feel, and that will help guide you in writing the caption that goes along with the picture or the video. Speaking of pictures and videos, make sure you always include a visual. I don't know how many people remember when Facebook first came out and it was just text in posts. But I think now you really need to have a visual. People like to see things. So make sure you have a good high quality image. Just a reminder that you can post other sizes on Instagram. It will allow you to do so, but it will crop them kind of funny. So for Instagram, try to make sure that it's a square dimension rather than a rectangle. It'll just look better when people look at your profile. And then another thing that we like to remind ourselves of is, what are you doing every day? You're creating happy, healthy families, and you're helping children to discover things, and you're building their brains. So sometimes remembering what's the end product, what's the outcome of your work, which I always think is happy children. So consider that for your imagery. And then the third tip here for you we have is native video. So the way that the algorithms are set up with a lot of those platforms is they want their viewers to stay on their website. So if you have a YouTube video and you post it on Facebook, Facebook doesn't want people to leave their site and go to YouTube. Google's one of their big competitors. So they won't allow many people to see it. The way around that, the trick is you can upload that video natively. And what that means is, let's say you took a video on your phone, rather than posting it to YouTube first and then putting on Facebook, upload it directly to Facebook from your phone and you'll get more viewers and people will see more and be able to engage more. Also, do try to keep it short. For a while, there was some longer form content that was getting popular, but now it still really is. My colleagues can share or disagree or not. I do feel like it should be short, 15 seconds maybe. And then the fourth tip before Brian's piece that he shared with you was a call to action. So consider, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to download a resource? Do you want them to go to an event, register for an event? Do you just want them to see something to make them smile? So consider that and really only tell them to do one thing. And if possible, that one thing should hopefully be on your website. So you're getting more people to your program and they see it. So that was my portion that I wanted to share. I think next we have another speaker. I'll stop sharing. Any questions before we move on?
Okay, thank you, Kristen. And I'm glad you're back. So the next person that I would like to introduce is Melissa Hook from Sparkspace. Here at Region 9 Head Start Association, we are excited to announce that we are doing a new collaboration with Sparkspace Creative to support agencies with 4 unique services to elevate your social media impact. And Melissa will speak a little more about that, as well as we have a quick survey to take for Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was so fun listening, Kristen and Brian. I actually took some notes. I learned some things. So thank you for sharing your expertise. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to look at the next several months to see what we can all do and accomplish together. Alejandra did mention the 4 ways to elevate your social media presence. So those 4 things are going to be through training courses, live and on demand. So we'll do some Zoom calls like this one. Social media calendar subscriptions. So we're planning to put together a content calendar that you can utilize at any time, like right at your fingertips. You can grab content from it and put it right on your social media platforms. Those may be things like, Hispanic Heritage Month posts, or, a simple thing like, Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Like we're going to kind of run the gamut as far as like what everything will entail on those calendars, but it's things that you maybe wouldn't think of, or something might sneak up on you. Like, oh my goodness, it's Halloween this Sunday. We need to make like a quick little, photo montage of kids dressed up in costumes and say Happy Halloween. But if you see our calendar, then you would remember that ahead of time, things like that. Social media toolkits, and that's going to be through socialpresskit.com. I don't know if you all have ever used Social Press Kit before, but it is a really very cool resource. It's a company that saw a need for organizations to, get the word out. And that includes images as well as post text in a very simple way. You can actually go straight from the Social Press Kit to your social platform if you want to, or you can copy and paste and download, or however you want to do it. But it's just such a user-friendly tool, and we're excited to utilize it for this as well. And then we also have one-on-one consulting and coaching. So we want to be able to offer to you time spent, not necessarily in a huge group like this, but like if you want to really dig into something that you have in mind for your area or your specific agency, we want to talk to you about what those ideas are and really help you achieve those goals. So The survey that Alejandra just put in the chat is, some of the questions are the same as the one that Kristen sent out with the poll. And I actually did not include things like WhatsApp and Pinterest. So there is a place where you can put other social media platforms if you want to learn more about them or if you want to spend some time on them. So please feel free to do that. But if you could take a moment to fill out the survey, it would really be helpful, because we are crafting these sessions for you and we want to meet you where you are. So if you don't need to talk about Pinterest, then let's just not even talk about it. You know what I mean? It is an important platform, but if it's not the one that you're using to reach your audience, then let's just not worry about that. So that's kind of why I just want to get a feel for what everybody knows, where everybody is, what everybody likes or doesn't like about social media. And really just very quickly to let you know, because you probably don't know anything about me or Sparkspace. So our company is Sparkspace Creative. We are a branding and design studio, and we service nonprofits exclusively, and we focus heavily on the education sector. So we have worked with Ohio Head Start, Minnesota Head Start. We are based in Dayton, Ohio. I actually live in Indiana. So we have you know, a lot of experience working with preschools, with Head Start programs, with childcare, and we are so excited to help you take your social media promotion to the next level. And I love a good brainstorming session. So if you guys ever need anything, feel free to email me, call me, whatever, and it will be my pleasure to talk through things with you. So, and if anybody has any questions for me right now, I'm happy to answer them. But as we get further into our, you know, progress with the campaign, obviously there will be opportunity for that as well.
Thank you, Melissa. And does anyone have any questions for Melissa before we move forward? Okay, great. So I know that Kristen has something ready for us. So Kristen, take it away.
Sure, and I just want to say how cool, Melissa, that sounds like a really awesome program. And it's especially the one-on-one consultations, you guys are in for a treat. That's really awesome. So we do have 4 more prizes to give away. And also I wanted to share some resources for you to kind of wrap up the call, but I think we'll give away a couple prizes right now. And the first 2 are from Lakeshore, and it's a transition to school backpack filled with a bunch of goodies. So I'm shuffling some names of everyone that's on the call here, and I hit the start button, and the 2 winners are Ana Casada and Jose Romero. So congratulations. Yay. So you'll be getting those. So congrats to that. And then the next 2 will be getting 2 $50 gift cards. And those 2 names, I'm pulling them right now, are Dana Smith and Ursula Macias. So congratulations, 2 $50 gift cards. Those are coming from Lakeshore. And then now to round out the call, I thought we could share some resources that Brian had mentioned that might be helpful to each of you, and then also take questions for the whole team here. You're welcome. I'm seeing some thank yous in the chat. So let me just share my screen one last time here. And we can talk through these quickly. All right. Here we go. So Brian mentioned Hootsuite. There's a lot of other platforms like this, but the cool thing is it allows you to schedule ahead of time. So social media is very reactive, and we typically, there are some things that we want to make sure we're talking about in real time. But there are some things that you can are kind of evergreen that we call, like a post about your STEAM activity or your dramatic play area. Those things you can actually post in calendar ahead of time. So if you only have 15 minutes a week to think about social, you can do it. You can do it all at once. So Hootsuite's an example of that, and I'll drop all of these in the chat for you. Canva. I'm wondering, can I see a show of hands? How many people have used Canva? Because I feel like it's growing in popularity. Am I seeing any hands up? Oh, I see a thumbs up. Thumbs up, I guess, would be more appropriate. Yeah, so it's really user-friendly. If you don't have a design degree and you don't know how to use Photoshop, this is for you. They have templates. You can upload logos and follow color palettes in certain fonts. It's super simple. Free images. So I always say your own photography is the best when you can use it. But if you don't have anything, this is an example of one of the sites that has free imagery. It's called pixabay.com. And there's a few others out there as well. This fourth resource here, Social Media Examiner. And I'm curious, Melissa and Brian, if you have other sort of industry trade magazines that you follow, but I find these guys to be super cool. They're very quick, applicable tips. They stay up on knowledge. It's really sort of like a newsletter to keep you updated. Melissa, Brian, do you guys have any others that you would want to share with the group?
I subscribe to Social Media Today, and I also take some courses on HubSpot. So I don't know how detailed, people need to be, but I find that those are two really good resources.
Great. HubSpot's amazing.
Social Media Today is really user friendly. I agree. Have a really good social media section as well.
What was the last one, Brian? I think it might be my connection, but I think you may have broke up a little bit.
Adweek.
Oh, Adweek.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then also Sprout Social. And I know Brian uses this in his day-to-day work. You can get analytics on each of the platforms. So Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn has insights. You can look and see, what posts are popular, who is like, what's your demographics? Like, are they male or female? What is their age? All of the platforms have that separately, but there are other websites and applications that will look at it as an aggregate. So I don't know if anyone has experimented with any of those, but if you're really into data and numbers, they're a lot of fun to look at. And I think with that, maybe we can open it up to Q&A for the team. Also, I did just want to thank Brian. I think I was going to introduce him, but the internet had another another idea in mind. But I just wanted to mention his group is Trusted Messenger Marketing. And not only does he do social media, but he also is focused on online branding. He's a political consultant. He's worked with Governor Newsom's team, United Way, a lot of different organizations, and has been featured in the LA Times, KPCC, Jewish Journal, LA Weekly, Patch. I just wanted to make sure I gave him his props in his formal introduction. So in reverse order.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions, or maybe does anyone want to share any more success stories of things that kind of happened that surprised you, or maybe some things that you posted that you thought were going to do really well but didn't get a lot of traction? I think it's always good to hear wins and some challenges too. No brave souls, I understand.
I do have challenges.
Okay, sure.
So we've always been at full capacity, but since the pandemic, we have lost multiple kids due to their parents working for the county or working out of their home, or they're staying with grandma. So we do have a few open spots available, and that is the reason why I've had to learn to go to social media for help. This is the first time that I've ever had vacancies.
Wow, yeah, that's a very telling story. And I'm sure there's other people here that have experienced that as well. I think social is a good way to get the word out for a relatively low cost. Have you tried boosting or tried paid advertising at all on the platforms?
No, I've never needed to. All our business has been through word of mouth. So yeah, I'm gonna try the Canva and making business cards, and I'm having to learn how to do all that.
One thing I would recommend, and it's kind of speaks to your idea about word of mouth. If you could make information about enrollment and give them out to 15 of your best parents or people who've been through the program, they're all on social media. They're all in Facebook groups that we know nothing about. And if you ask them to share into maybe one or two of their groups with your phone number, that could lead to some lead generation.
So make them a flyer or a coupon?
A card just with information about your organization, how people can apply, that they can then put on their phone and share on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Got it.
You need to give them the tools and the wording. Call them social activists. You can call them parent advocates. But if you had 10 working in your area, come up with some new leads.
Thank you for that.
Just out of curiosity, are people mostly using, for your own programs, do you find your families are on a particular platform, or are you just kind of starting out with Facebook and Instagram, or what have you learned? I'm just curious. Where are your people at? Mari is saying Facebook is popular for her constituents.
For us in Arizona, I think it's Facebook.
Okay. Thank you, Maribel. Laura also says Facebook. Okay. Jose says Instagram. Sabrina's tried Facebook mommy groups, and WhatsApp has a few too. Yeah, the groups are an excellent way to reach people sort of outside of your immediate footprint, because of course word of mouth is your best marketing tactic, but groups are phenomenal. Laura says, oh, well, that's awesome, Laura. So they sent their families a survey asking what social media platforms they used. And it looks like Facebook was the winner, and the same with Dana Smith. So yeah, it's still kicking. I don't know if anyone heard, they might change their name. So we'll see where they go with that. We might be calling it something different in a few months, but cool. Thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda has to hop on. Any other questions for Brian and Melissa?
I actually have a question for the group. Going off of what you just asked, Kristen, about like where most people, find their audience. So you all, like the ones who all responded with Facebook. There was an Instagram or two. Does anybody find that young parents are using TikTok very much? Is anybody interested in learning more about how to use TikTok to reach people? I see one affirmative. Okay. I mean, this is on the survey that Alejandra shared, but what we're finding is like when we're doing employee recruitment, when we're doing, even if we're looking for families, a lot of the employees that you're looking for might be a younger crowd, like in their 20s. And there are actually algorithms set up on TikTok for people who are interested in early childhood education. So it's not just looking at videos of people, putting pies in the face or doing dances or whatever. There are, education and like teacher talk or something like that. Like there's all these different genres you can kind of become part of if you follow certain hashtags, if you follow certain, topics on TikTok, and you can actually learn a lot from there. So if I know that it can be scary because TikTok is a big, scary video thing, you don't necessarily always have to create a bunch of content, but if you ever want to use it as a resource, you can follow TikTok and really follow some of those very specific things. And we will talk about that more in one of the sessions that we're going to do later on, but just, maybe be thinking about it, because there may be people you want to reach who are going to find you there, or you will find them there. Just, you know, something to think about.
Here at the agency where we work at, we ended up doing an agency overall Facebook page. So nobody but parents and then people that's interested going to the page. So we have a lot of involvement as far as parents and kids and displaying what we do within the center itself. And that was another way we were able to actually bring parents in.
That's great. Yeah. So you said you combined efforts with okay. Yeah, that's great because that expands your audience and then you have more people at your fingertips. Thank you for sharing, Brenda. And Melissa, yeah, the cool thing about TikTok, I mean, I can say from our organization, we use a lot of the content for resharing. I think there's a lot of really feel-good, family, child-centered content on there. So like Melissa said, even if you're not ready to do the dance or the question game, you can at least, you know, see cute videos and repost them on other platforms. Those have been some of our most popular posts, to be honest. So
yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Thanks for bringing that up.
I saw that Sabrina, I think it was, asked a question about paid content. So exactly what Kristen just said, you can use TikTok for free and share, you know, usable content if you want to share things that are family friendly that really you think your audience would respond to. They do have TikTok for business and you can do advertising on it. And that's something, you know, we can explore further, or you can look into it if you want to Google it. But you know, you don't have to spend money on TikTok. You can just kind of utilize it the way that Kristen was mentioning.
Thank you. And I see a question from Stacy, which I think Brian, you and I, maybe you can answer, because you have a great way of navigating comments. Stacy said that I recently suggested social media to our program, but they are concerned about monitoring comments and what others might say about our program or comment about our program. So it's important to be transparent and authentic. I'll let Brian take this one. Sorry to put you on the spot. Oh, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
I know, I'm sorry. So I always say for one negative comment you get positive. That is anything that you don't want on the page, I always say take down. Sorry, can you hear me?
We can now. You were breaking up a little bit. If you wouldn't mind repeating that end.
So I always say that you should take down anything that uses bad words, that is defamatory, that is racist, anything that you don't want on your page. In that way, I take down right away, and you can block the people if they become abusive. If someone points out something that's potentially negative about your program, use it as an opportunity to engage that person, maybe try to change their mind. But don't spend too much time sweating over it. Sometimes people who are complainers by nature are louder than people who appreciated all the good work you did for your kid, right? For their kids. So it's the good table manners. If someone does not treat people with respect, get them off the page.
Melissa, did you want to weigh in at all?
No, I think he covered it. I would agree. One thing I will say is if you are not the person who engages the actual people, like if you're not a person who communicates with the public, and you notice, because you're monitoring the social media platforms, and you notice a comment, I would definitely mention it to whoever does talk to the people, like the families or whatever, because just like Brian said, you may want to nip it in the bud and kind of approach that person individually, you know, not publicly on the page. But we've had that happen before with some of the organizations we work with. And I just usually let them know, and they, you know, will call, if they know the person, they'll call them or send them an email, or send them a private message just to address if it's a real problem, you know, so.
And I can understand a lot of people were sort of co-signing, Stacy, with your hesitation, and it can be a little scary, but I think most people, you're a general consumer, you go to Yelp, you see the people that are, you know, complaining and the people that are raving, and you know, people have different opinions, and what they all said is so great that, you know, not to get too defensive and don't engage too much if you have like a real troll. But I think, you know, trying to maybe reiterate the benefits of your program, or maybe taking it offline like Melissa suggested. I think those are great suggestions. All right, I'll turn it back over to Alejandra.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, Brian and Melissa, for your great presentations and for your tips that you gave everyone. And I will also like to thank Kaplan Discounts Early Learning Company, Discount School Supply, and Lakeshore for donating the prices for this call.